And now it's time for us to have a panel discussion. So can I welcome the panelists onto the stage, please? Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Durga. Great. Thanks very much for giving us your time on the panel today. Thanks, everybody, for coming to the panel session. Day one MWC, and I don't know what you're thinking, but I've been to a few sessions already, including the keynote, and there's certainly a lot of focus on 5G. Last year, I think there was a lot on AI, and of course, AI will continue to feature, but I think there's a lot of concentration on 5G, and I think this is an important discussion because 5G, we've had several years of the cycle. We've been patiently waiting to see the real value that 5G might provide. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit now. So Sibel, if I could start with you, welcome.
Of course, thank you.
I'd love for you to start with what you believe 5G Advanced is. We saw some very good definitions, and Lee's slides were really clear, but I'd love to just hear from you, what is 5G Advanced?
Yes.
And I say that because I work in the industry, but I sometimes get confused, like exactly what is it that's different about 5G Advanced? So if you could start with that.
Of course. I think before 5G Advanced, actually, I really like Ulf's very energetic presentation. I think we should first be a bit more positive about our own innovation industry, right? I think with 5G, if you just look into the whole mobile generations, we had 1 million times increase in data, in the data rate. We have kind of digitalized the whole consumer space. We have billions of people have connectivity that they can live without. And then even with the first 5 years of 5G, we have created this unprecedented coverage, capacity, the thickness, the depthness, and the capability that has been built from day one. But you're right, now is about what is next. And what we believe what is next is creating a revolution in the next wave of connectivity. And I think 5G Advanced, we believe it will be at the center of it. And that's why our definition is a bit broader than the 3GPP definition. Because again, by looking at all the technologies and the innovations around us with the AI, with cloud, with monetization, with all these things, we believe 5G Advanced will create and will build programmability on top of the foundation network. This is our simple definition of 5G Advanced. We have a great foundation of mobile networks. We have built coverage, capacity, latency. We know how to do that. We do it in a more sustainable manner. It's not about peak rate. It's not about boosting the data rate. It's about adding programmability. But what does programmability mean? It means that networks now adapt, learn based on customers' objectives. They need to understand and adapt intelligently and create based on different business value.
Okay.
That's, I think, our simple definition. And I think it will create two things with creating this multi-service digital virtual network to create scaling the use cases.
Does this take us towards, I think Ulf mentioned in his presentation about having very individualized connectivity?
Absolutely.
Is that the direction that this is going to take us in?
Absolutely. So I think it's two things. One is exactly creating these virtual networks on demand without creating people on the field, creating virtual networks for different use cases from this underlying foundation.
And I think Lee had it in his slide, if I saw it quickly, it was deterministic, I think it was something like that, latency, as opposed to differentiated.
Exactly. Differentiated connectivity that gives consistent experience on demand, scaling number of users in an autonomous way.
Okay, thank you. I don't know whether you guys have different view about it or not, but we'll have a chance to discuss that a little bit. But Durga, maybe let me come to you next.
Yeah.
So welcome to the panel. Thank you for coming.
No.
Tell us a bit about AI.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about for AI, but maybe I'll just say a few more words, just continuing from where Sibel left off. First of all, good to see everyone over here. And I was just thinking about it, like, first day, when you come into the conference, you see the years change, but this is not my first MWC. I've been here for a very, very long time. And it only seemed like yesterday that we launched 5G with great fanfare back in 2019 timeframe. So I was just kind of thinking about like one of the questions that you asked about, hey, what is it that we've accomplished with 5G so far? And I actually completely agree with Sibel on one thing. If I take a look at, a lot of people ask questions, what has 5G delivered so far? maybe a couple of data points from the most recently released CTIA report. We just did that in the US. Did you know, for instance, that if you take a look at the sum total amount of data that was consumed by US consumers in a decade of 4G, the sum total of that was consumed in 1 year with 5G, just 1 year. And that is an incredible amount of data consumption which could only be happening because of 5G. And let me ask a different question. If you go back a decade and think of how much you were paying for your data plans and so on, I don't think we're paying any much larger now, and still consuming a lot of data. So we have come a long way with that. Now switching gears towards where are we going with 5G Advanced and where does AI come into the picture specifically? So when I think of what's happening in the AI landscape is, by the way, as Qualcomm, we are pioneering on-device generative AI. Take a look at generative AI running directly onto device with very large models that are running, generating images, code generation, AI PCs, and whatnot. But when we think of AI algorithms, what has become clear is that they have started permeating communications as well. So in 5G modem-RF platforms that we announce, we are on a third generation of AI processing embedded inside the modem itself, which is actually laying the foundation for where we need to be, what we loosely define as an AI native 6G network, which is going to be sometime in the next few years. But what does that mean actually, AI in 5G modem-RF platforms? I'll give a few examples of that one. One is where we end up using, so if you think of AI algorithms have been used for image classification or classification of what kind of an image is it, generating new content. We are using it for traffic classification. So if I knew, for instance, that I'm watching a specific kind of video, like specifically YouTube video, I want to change the way that the modem-RF actually performs in a slightly different way. I'm going to change some of the parameters inside, but you have to be able to detect which one is it. Similarly, when someone says that you're on a voice call.
Let me just interrupt you in the middle of that. So, and we're going to bring Marwan in a minute to talk about his experience of this. So what you're describing, Durga, is it like for the telco itself, or is this for the use and functional benefit of customers?
It actually ends up being both. The first immediate benefit is, of course, something that the user sees, because it's a better user experience, but it starts improving the operational efficiency of the network as well, because the modem actually behaves very differently. We have a very flexible architecture with that. So in that sense, we are laying the foundation for where we need to be with AI native 6G network as we get there. But that journey is not like a binary thing which happens exactly 5 years from now. We're already taking those steps as we speak.
Okay. So I was feeling a little bit worried about talking about 6G too much during this conference because it feels like people are a little bit tired with 5G. But we've heard everybody talking about 6G so far, so that seems to be going fine. So Marwan, thank you for coming to the panel. Very much appreciate that. We'd love to be inspired by some of your examples. You're the mobile network operator on the panel. Please tell us a bit about what you've been doing with 5G and how you've been advancing with it.
First of all, I'm excited to be back here in MWC. I do remember the same place last year. I provided update about the 5G Advanced. After 1 year, where we are. We are, as E&, UAE, still maintaining the fastest 5G network in the world. Not only as the operator, also we are positioning UAE as the fastest in the world. We are glad to be one among the 61 operator launching SA in the world. Our 5G penetration is more than 93% co-location ratio. Our 5G traffic penetration more than 70% coming from mobile broadband.
Sorry, just to be clear, so 93%. I just want to focus on that number.
93% co-location ratio of the site.
Wow, that's fantastic.
We are planning end of the year to reach 99. Not only this, even in IBS, we are planning to reach 30% by end of the year for indoor building solution dedicated 5G.
Okay, that's great.
So as a technology, taking some energy from all T-Mobile, we are believing in this technology, moving ahead, investing in 5G. Not only this, we are talking, having more spectrum. We are one of the unique operators having 300 megahertz in the mid band. We have been allocated more spectrum as well, 6 gigahertz and low band 600. So all of this, we will use it in order to move forward with 5G as a capability.
Okay. But
This is
Marwan,
in terms of leadership for the early Mohammed. However, what is the difference? What's the difference that we really made in the last year? It is about how to monetize it. All of this is an incremental on the old technology. But what is the difference? How to engage, how to monetize the 5G more? So we are proudly that we announced building the largest private 5G network for oil and gas. And we are showing this case as well in our booth in Hall 3. How is this came? This came with the clear engagement. It's not only about providing a traditional connectivity to the customer.
yes.
It came with the clear engagement, understanding what the customer need. It's about migrating the use cases of the customer. It's about providing the security to him. It's about the complete ecosystem, managed
Yes.
service, building the innovation lab also for the customer. And today we are proudly that we are building a largest network over 11,000 kilometers with the 15 edge core, with the full transport network. Not only this, collaborating with the industry like Qualcomm and others to build and gateways and chipsets and AI chipset for those customers
Yes.
in order to ensure that you are not only providing a traditional connectivity, it's a full ecosystem that really the industry will believe and migrate their service. So not only this, 5G and 5G Advanced came with more capability like slicing. So also we are promoting and we are engaging with the industry with different options. This is the beauty of 5G, having different capability. Slicing one of the capability. Yes, we are starting with the static and soon with the dynamic, but some of the industry will not need a full private. No, slicing is enough for them. So we are launching commercially as well one of the logistic and manufacturing the full slice network.
Okay.
We are moving ahead. Not only this, we are transform actually our operating model, us as a technology and IT, and I could see some colleagues as well from business from their side, to have a dedicated team promoting the 5G capability externally.
Okay, thanks, Marwan. Thanks very much. That's very inspiring. And I think what's really interesting is Mats this morning spoke about how industry returns on capital employed have been declining. But I think what you're telling us is this is going to result in new and higher revenue for your business, but also for your partners, because you've also emphasized this is about collaboration. This is not about the mobile operator doing it by themselves. Yes. So we'd love to come back to you with another question in a few minutes. But Sibel, would you be able to give us some examples from your perspective of where you've seen the real examples or illustrations of value from 5G networks being realized?
Absolutely. I mean, we actually launched the 5G Advanced portfolio last year, so I will choose few of them that I think Ulf was referring to as well, which is basically used to different use cases. But first of all, we believe that there are three key technology elements that are essential for 5G Advanced.
Okay.
It is service aware, which meant that it needs to know what type of services are there, what is their SLAs, and needs to be able to dynamically enable them. It needs to be intent-driven, so that is we take the human aspect from out of it and we give this real-time based on customized intents. And it needs to be, again, AI-powered. And I think here, maybe I can start from the AI because everybody likes to talk about AI, and you have heard about it. But I think we need to kind of differentiate two parts. One is network for AI, means that all the AI applications that humans will generate, that we need to carry, that needs to create the data and the latency requirements that we know how to manage. But also AI forerun. Like what do we then do in 5G Advanced portfolio? I think one example I can give, which definitely excites me about, is we are bringing AI nativeness to our scheduler already now. We have 700 features on 5G, and we are changing the heart of our portfolio, adding AI inside.
Okay.
And just as an example, for making the AI native scheduler, we need to give the decision on 12 microseconds. So that decision, it needs to be inferred and decided in the baseband in 12 microseconds. And we are now testing it at 2 different networks. It's actually quite impressive. We get 10 to 20% spectral efficiency gain by bringing the AI in run. And that definitely shows the potential of what can we achieve. Another example is scaling use cases.
So, sorry, that one that you just finished.
Sure.
So that example, I think is similar to what Durga said before, right? This is an example of the telco's own operation of its network being
Yes.
optimized. Clearly, that has an impact for the customer as well, but this is about a telco benefiting from AI being applied into the management of its own network.
Nobody's all, because end user will get the benefit with
Yes.
higher and
Correct.
more customized
Makes
experience.
sense. Makes
Absolutely.
sense. Okay, got it. Sorry, you
No.
added one more?
No, exactly. I mean, I think I can definitely give one more. It's again, we'll always talk about this multi-service network, to be able to have this on-demand experience
Yeah.
and do it also much simple instructions. So I think one example that I can give, I think, is the scale of the portfolio we have. We have
Okay.
specific portfolio for public safety that T-Mobile referred to. Differentiated connectivity, and to be able to create these slices with customized and persistent
Yeah.
experience, and both throughput and latency.
Yeah.
And again, to be able to make in a more scalable manner that we can also ensure the SLAs with the closed loop intent-based automation directly at the run, not outside running, because we need to give these SLA decisions in, again, microsecond, millisecond level. Otherwise, the connectivity is already gone. So we are bringing all this automation and closed loop intelligence directly in our 5G Advanced portfolio to be able to manage all the SLAs for all these users real time from the same cell.
Yeah. That's really good. Thank you very much. I mean, I'm usually quite skeptical, but I'm really believing what you're saying, because it's all of you, because I think it does seem to have moved on, right?
Yeah.
I think the first few years of the 5G cycle was a little bit, we had to be patient, but it does seem as though we're beginning to really move on. So Durga, I think you wanted to come in.
Yeah, I was just going to add a couple of different angles on how is AI kind of permeating the networks in itself.
Yeah.
Now, as Qualcomm, by the way, we have different kinds of investments in this space. We are not a device manufacturer, we're not an infrastructure vendor, but we provide a lot of the platforms that actually go underneath. And a lot of our investments in, I would say, generative AI have been in the context of building custom CPUs and GPUs and NPUs, our neural processing engine, which actually runs the workloads of generative AI very effectively. First in devices, but also in a very energy efficient manner, and the software and the tools that are necessary, which can then, people can write applications on top of it. We're doing exactly the same thing, interestingly, on the network management side in a very different level, where there are two interesting concepts which are eventually going to start building those steps towards what we call as network autonomy. So we talk of co-pilots, for example, in PCs, where you have a human and you have a co-pilot that's constantly giving you advice as to what you might want to do. You're conversing with it all the time. But imagine exactly the same thing in network operations, where you have a RAN engineer and you actually have a RAN co-pilot who's constantly giving you advice. Now, this is generative AI that's running in the network, but actually does improve not just the operational efficiency of the network, but actually manages a lot of other things as well. So there is an equivalence with what we call as autonomy in the automotive sector. So this is like a level 3 autonomy. And if you take a level 5 autonomy, it means that the human is not in the loop, that networks are running by themselves. So that is like the promise of where we want to go with AI. The other part is something that was mentioned earlier by one of the speakers on digital twins. Now, this is one of the concepts which seems very nebulous, but it's actually extremely powerful. It's a real life replica of what's happening out there at the same time. So you get to experiment and quickly get the responses that you can immediately implement over there. So just to complement what Sybil was saying, on the network side, there's lots of implications in terms of how AI can manage very large scale deployments in a way that makes it not just efficient, but it's a benefit that can be seen by the end consumer. Coming back to the end consumer, so when you kind of finally put the story together and say, what does an AI native 6G mean and what steps are we taking with 5G Advanced? So think about it this way. Investments are both in devices and the networks in 5G Advanced era with AI. You will see those benefits starting to come in already without necessarily having any kind of formal specifications in place in 3GPP. By the time we start calling it as 6G, that means you have not just the spirit of the specifications, but the letter of the spec that's written down, and then there is some common protocol. You have networks, generative AI networks, and presumably beyond that, running in devices, and also communicating in a similar way with what's running on the network, and they're kind of matched with each other. That is the step that we are taking with 5G Advanced today as we go towards 6G.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Durga. Marwan, if I may come back to you. Actually, I want to ask you two questions, but start with the private networks one. So you mentioned to us about the 11,000 square kilometer private network, and you told us a little bit about how it's not just a network implementation, it's actually understanding the customer's needs, etc. Could you just tell us a little bit more about what you went through there? Because one of the key things with the journey to 5G is really for operators to upskill how they engage with enterprises and how they understand their needs. So we'd love to hear a little bit more about that if you can.
Of course, in 5G advanced capability, it will address, the capability will come to address some sectors like manufacturing, logistic, media, energy. So those areas that we need ultra low latency, higher uplink, as well as slicing and all of these things. So all of those capability meant to have for enterprises, frankly speaking, and little for the consumer. So I will call it in a three-step. Our approach was the engaging with the customer. Go sit with the customer, understand his requirement, his current, and as well propose to him the capability of the 5G network. Today, if the chipsets manufacturer or vendor went to the vendor, they will go to it fragmentally. But if you will go to it as holistic to him to provide the capability, he will understand. Then we are taking approach to have a joint design together. Then joint a POC together. We are ensuring that this will work to ensure the customer that will work. Then we are building the business model together. As a 5G, and not all the customer can build a full private network. Still, it's expensive. So this is the beauty of 5G. As I said, it has a slice. It has a dedicated core and shared RAN, as well as the capability of full shared RAN for non-secure. So all of those options we are providing to the customer to ensure that he has the right choice in order to select his use cases and the way forward.
Okay, but do you think the mobile operators around the world, as we continue with this journey, do you think it's about collaborating more with your technology partners? Like, for example, here you have Qualcomm, you have Ericsson, or is it also about having a different way to interact with the business customer? So what I mean by that is not necessarily just going to say, what is the network capability that you need, but actually to listen to the customer who says that I have a productivity issue, or I have an operational cost issue, I have an automation demand. So it's almost like the business discussion. I mean, how is it that you can cross that bridge to have the stronger business discussion with the customer?
Just before I came to here, our group CEO was giving a keynote speech about the transformation from telco to techco. And today, EAN is not only a telecom provider providing a connectivity, it's also providing the IoT services, security, digital transformation. And all of those capability, it will need a strong network connectivity and premium network connectivity. So our approach to the customer is the integrated service. We are not going to them to provide the digital only, IoT, we security, we are using all capability, even the IoT itself. The IoT today is integrated within the network capability, and then it can be transformed to another digital experience. So today, we are proudly saying that even the RedCap capability is as a license enabled with all our vendors, which is one of the 5G advanced capability, and the enhanced RedCap will come in the future as well in order to support that.
Okay, great, thank you. Sibel, I want to come back to you if I may. So let's start looking forwards. Let's start looking forward. So over the next few years, I mean, can you tell us a little bit about how you would like, what are the key things you would like to see happening in this journey?
Yes. Yeah, I think for me, what really excites me about exactly now, you have sort of said from now, right? We have the foundation, we have the excitement. Also now we have the customers seeing how this technology being used in scale, in a simple one, in a scalable way. And SA networks is 61 now. We definitely want to see it much increase in this space by seeing the front runners to use this technology with SA 5G Advanced. I think that's definitely the first thing I would like to see. Second thing I would like to see is the belief of the technology and innovation, because I think I have never seen a much faster pace, at least in my, let's say, professional life, from idea to the field is much, much shorter.
Right.
So I think, and again, just looking to where we are, just last week, probably have seen in India, there was one of the biggest events, and I get the statistics, there was 400 million data requests in a day, 20 million voice requests in a day. And again, coming to Durga's statistics, right, it's impressive. It's not only about an MBB. They were running one slice for public safety. They were running hundreds of millions of people. That was only happened hundreds of years, like every 100 years.
Yeah.
They have the fixed wireless access that they want to maintain, and they had other consumers. And that means that now we have tested. This is the biggest test of the network and the capability and dynamicity. So I think that's why what I really like to see in the next few years is, A, the belief that we have the technology that we need to scale, just to really have that. Second, again, bringing that to the field, starting with the SA, starting the building a strong 5G, if we haven't done so, following the lead CSPs. And then again, let us innovate, let us bring it. We need to transform the business, we need to transform the operations. And CSPs also need to transform their own businesses towards enterprise, even also for consumer. I think we should not forget about it.
Okay.
And I think that's what I would like to see in the next few years.
Thank you.
If you allow me, Mohammed, actually I have same hope like what Sibyl said. Actually, today there is a clear synergy between 5G Advanced, 6G, and the AI. Both of them are transformative, a leap towards customer experience and others. But as Durga said, the chipset, the AI chipset for the end, in the gateway for the industry, this must be accelerated. So my hope, like what Sibyl said, we are taking much time. Although I know, as Olaf said, we are in standardization body.
Yeah.
We are providing a reliable capability to the customer.
Yeah.
But if you could see over the last years, even with current AI era, we are still moving in the same base. Standardization, vendors, software, ecosystem. So the customer, the end customer, will, sorry to this, he might not believe in the technology if it came late. So how can we integrate the AI in our journey, in this long journey, in order to accelerate the delivery of the use cases?
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
So I was just going to add like a couple of other things. So if I was thinking about what you said as to where we are right now. So today, if you just take a look at the landscape, so we just announced our X85 Modem-RF platform just today. There's actually demos in our booth together with Ericsson. We now are able to aggregate 400 megahertz of spectrum. And it's like incredible. We just say it like that, but it's like incredible amount of spectrum, 12 gigabits per second peak data rates, integrated satellite communication. So in terms of the actual communication capabilities, a lot of the things we're checking all the right boxes. Incredible amount of flexibility in terms of spectrum mixing and matching and so on. So as we kind of move forwards, to be honest, actually, I'm not that worried about like what we will do with 6G as new bands come in. I mean, we already do more than 10,000 band combinations. So we know exactly that journey very well. And so while that is going to be one aspect of as we go from 5G Advanced towards 6G, that will continue to happen, by the way. We'll continue to add more bands and go to much higher speeds. But I think the biggest promise that we are beginning to see is how to make the air interfaces and the protocols far more intuitive and build use cases on top of it using AI, both in the network and in devices. And that, I think, is where the promise is going to be as we kind of move forwards. But in terms of the bare bones communications, we've done a lot of work and we'll continue doing that. But the new angle happens to be AI as we go forwards.
So there is hope then that the speed at which the development will happen will accelerate, like the way Marwan is hoping for, right?
That's correct.
Okay, Marwan, I've got about 50 seconds left. Marwan, can I ask you one last question?
Sure.
So when we talked about the pathways to complete 5G, we talked about front runners, then we talked about scaling up, And the last step is mass enterprise uptake, like the situation where many businesses are benefiting from this type of technology. Do you have any views about like where are we in the journey, and how long is it going to take before we get to mass enterprises using this type of technology?
As I highlighted earlier, the enterprise are eager for the technology, eager for their transformation.
Yeah.
And for fast time to market, 5G wireless technology is the path, but they need to have an education.
Okay.
They need all of us to go jointly to them, how to integrate their capability and how to move forward, transforming their journey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much to the panelists, and thank you very much to everybody. We hope you enjoyed that, and enjoy the rest of your MWC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.